You know what I'm ready to do, Colby?
What's that, Barry?
I'm ready to party because I gotta. It is. He's like the master at impressions, and it's just, I can't do them. At least not his, especially. What's going on, guys? My name is Barry.
This is Colby.
And this is Who Watches This.
Theme music.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the second week of Man's Best Friend Month.
Yeah. So we got a month full of movies with dogs, but not movies about dogs.
Yeah, because like we said before, dog movies typically are Oscar bait.
Yeah.
They're like,
We don't want anything where we're crying.
yeah, they're like, I really want to make my girlfriend cry today. or be really cruel, like, oh, my boyfriend's dog passed away, so let's watch this movie. Jeez, right? Like, some people are just cruel like that. Oh, man.
Right. Yeah.
Colby,
I haven't cried in a while. Let's put on a dog movie just so I can.
Let's put on a dog's purpose. Let's put on Marley and me. I forgot to ask you, Colby. Did you ever have a dog?
I did. Growing up, I had dogs.
So, who converted you to the house of cat?
Well, so I basically I actually had dogs and cats growing up. Always like big dogs.
Okay.
And then cats. And then when I first moved out, I moved into an apartment, and I was like, I am a busy person, and I feel crappy if I had a dog that that I can't take out and walk and take care of well.
So
but a cat is still a pet that wants to hang with you on the couch, but you could be gone for all day and the cat's fine.
Like, I don't care as long as
and it doesn't eat your shoes.
Those are just bad dog owners. But now you're kind of like in the perfect position to have a dog.
Actually, when we moved into the house, we went to we had a cat, and we went to the pound, the kennel, to look for a dog, and none of the dogs were friendly.
Friendly.
They didn't pick us. I always feel like you gotta walk around the dogs, and the dog you gotta have a connection.
Yeah.
And there was no dog connection. And then as you were leaving, you actually have to walk through the cat area.
And so you picked up another cat.
A cat was like, "Hey, dude, I want to be with you." And I was like, "Oh." And so then we had another cat.
Oh, so it wasn't there, the doggyverse wasn't picking up on you.
Yeah. We went, and they had a ton too. We went, and we actually had some come out, and they have a little yard pen thing where you can kind of play with them, and none of them cared at all about me. They were like, I just wanted to I run away. I want to run away.
They could smell the cat on you.
I could be.
Oh man. So yeah, really, this is funny. I feel like, in my head, this is not an underrated movie. But I forget how old we are sometimes.
Right. So we're just reintroducing it to a new generation.
And
I feel like that's probably.
It's sad to say that somehow, just because of how prolific the actor is in this movie for people our age.
Right, but this was really kind of his first really big movie.
I think he had this movie and his other iconic movie come out in the same year. So that was really crazy. I mean, he was big in like other circles, but then these two movies that came out in the same year were like, oh, you're a star.
Right. Yeah.
But not like lately, every time if you do see him in a role, it's like a lot of dramatic stuff. Which is like fine. I feel like he's a wonderful dramatic actor as well. He's proven that in the past and till now, but he's so eccentric now.
Right. Right.
I mean, he's had a bit of resurgence with a very popular video game franchise, where he's played in, but even that came with a lot of caveats. So let's get into our Rhymefest trailer so we can go ahead and start talking about this movie. It's funny though because I was like, I don't even have to watch this movie because I watched it so much as a kid that I still remember a good chunk of it. I did watch it though, it's an easy watch.
I had watched it, and then like there was a lot where I was like, oh, I remembered all the big parts, but like I didn't remember like all the connecting parts.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's right. That's how they got there.
Yeah. All right. Rhymefest trailer. Stanley is simple, a tad idiotic, but little did he know his life was about to get super chaotic. When an item came to his possession, he's about to unleash all his pent-up aggression. Can he contain this beast in an emotional flask? Let's find out in 1994's The Mask. Yes, we're going to be talking about the 1994 classic The Mask, starring Jim Carrey, introducing Cameron Diaz. Oh my
So
God.
okay, so it's funny because you said his other big movie came out this year, the same year, 1994. The Mask, Ace Ventura, and Dumb and Dumber all came out.
Oh Jesus, what an all-star year for him.
Yeah,
All hits. Like that has to be like I feel like that's like a cinematic, like a historical thing.
right. 3 major.
Iconic movies.
Yeah.
I feel like Dumb and Dumber, funny enough, has like stood the test of time though, because that's like an easy watch with kids, especially.
Yes. Yeah.
Except for the dream sequence scene where he shows Bruce Lee's wife's butt in that movie. I just remembered that she was in Dragon with Jason Lee Scott, where she played Linda Lee. And even
I almost feel like Ace Ventura would be the one of those 3 that faded the most in like rewatchability for future generations.
Yeah, and that I think that's more attesting to like the type of humor. That one is very like kid friendly. Like you could show kids that like any age.
Yeah.
But like once they get to like maybe like they get to like that sarcastic age, like Dumb and Dumber is kind of like their lane. Because Dumb and Dumber is all about like 2 super annoying guys. Like the older you get, the more you hate dumb people.
Right.
Not like intellectually, but like socially dumb people. And not people that have like Asperger's or something. They have an they have a reason for their social awkwardness. Oh God, I'm in hot water. I think you guys know what I mean, though. But yeah,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. And oh gosh, who else is in this movie? That's like pretty big throughout the years.
So at that time, his friend at the bank, Richard Jenny, was a big stand-up comic at that time.
It was funny because
I feel like he passed away.
Yeah, because his photos on IMDb are super old. And for some reason in my head I was like, Tom Arnold is in this movie, right?
Tom Arnold.
Because his best friend or his friend looks like that from the bank. He kind of looks like Tom Arnold. Oh man, but yeah, no, I remember. Oh gosh, I remember before we get into this movie, watching this movie and just like sexually awakening to Cameron Diaz.
Right.
I was like, oh my god.
And then the redheaded reporter, she
Oh yeah.
was the in the Mel Brooks Robin Hood. She was Maid Marian.
She was also really sexy in that movie too. But she was like Ren Fair sexy.
Yes. Yeah.
Cameron Diaz is like, she's like in the club sexy. Because I remember watching this movie and like, ugh, girls are yuck. Blech. And then watching this movie is like, oh my gosh.
And then the police officer, he was one of the students from the Animal House.
Oh, yeah.
He was one of the pledges.
Yeah. And then also, what's his face?
But that was way before. So if people haven't seen these, they definitely haven't seen that.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get to talking about this movie. So this movie starts off with like construction happening at a dock somewhere in Echo City.
Edge.
Oh, Edge City.
Yes.
Edge City. And like I think a pipe or like some sort of beam falls into the ocean and unlocks a ancient looking chest.
Right.
And then that's where we get the opening credits, like cuz the mask kind of floats out of it and starts to float on the water. And then we cut to the bank. It's what's it called? And we get introduced to Stanley Ipkiss.
Yep.
Who is, I guess, the very much prototype of what people would call simps. Because he introduces like 2 concert tickets to one of his coworkers.
Yeah.
And she's like super ecstatic because they're super hard to get, but she's like, oh, do you think we can get another one for my friend? And he's like, oh no, these are really hard. These were really hard to come by. And oh my god, back in the 90s, yeah, tickets you had to like line up and be there first, and it was like, yeah, it was super difficult. I mean, even now it's difficult, but like it's difficult from your couch.
Right. There was 90s. You were sleeping out.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, what? This Metallica's coming to town. Kiss is playing. I had to sleep overnight.
Exactly.
To get tickets.
Exactly. Oh man, especially if you wanted good tickets.
Yeah, right.
And so like Stanley's like, yeah, just go with your friend, I guess. And what's his best friend's name in this?
Charlie.
Charlie comes in, he's like, Jesus Christ, that's the most pathetic display of a man if I've ever seen one. He's like, it's funny, like we always talk about it, how much harder it is to get friends as you get older.
Right.
Because very few people are lucky to keep their friends from like high school or whatever. Everyone tends to like move away, tends to build another life, have a new circle of friends. Me, I'm lucky enough to still have like, my best friend of like almost 20 years at this point.
Right.
Still have him around. And so like, eventually, or like, unfortunately, sometimes the people that you work with also become your friends. And
yeah.
Charlie is that kind of asshole friend that you'd never want, but he's always like around. And he's like, don't worry, my friend. I'm going to take you to a club tonight and we're going to have a lot of fun. And then boom, it's raining outside and all of a sudden we get this wet shot of Cameron Diaz. It's like probably, I feel like it's one of the most iconic introductions to an actress.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, if you ask anyone our age, Cameron Diaz, it's not, there's something about Mary's like her big movie that like made her into a star. But like they'll be like, oh, The Mask.
Definitely memorable.
Yeah, and so like and Charlie's like, he's doing this whole spiel with like Stanley, and he's like, whoa, hold on, a sexy lady's here. But she goes straight for Stanley. She's like,
and sorry,
no, go ahead.
like you said, that this is her cinematic debut. Like, there's nothing. Usually, like, they're like, at least people have like some shorts or some like TV cameos or something before their first movie. This is like her very first thing.
Yeah, and I think that's because like prior to this, like she had done some like nude modeling and stuff, and so like this was probably like her like, oh, I don't have to be nude.
Right.
Let me get it, like, yeah, let me do this one. Yeah, and so she goes straight for Stanley. She's like, I want to open up a bank account, and she's playing some sort of like there's some sort of thing that she's doing because Stanley looks like a sucker.
Oh, right.
And so she has her bag on her desk while he's trying to like conversate with her, like talking about what kind of bank accounts she could open up that's going to yield her the most money, or
right.
something.
And she's flirty and keeping him very nervous. And
oh god, yeah, I would be so nervous, like I. In my head, I'm like, oh my god, like what kind of house would she like? Playing this fantasy in my head, like how many kids are we gonna have? But she's like kind of fixing her purse, and you're like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, it kind of like does that little transition from like the camera that's in her purse, kind of scoping out the bank, into some sort of like televised like CCTV feed into like this mob boss's room, and we get introduced.
And this is not current, so much more difficult to bring a camera into a bank to be able to videotape where the security guards are, where the vault is, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where now you could just have camera in the rim of your glasses and just whatever.
Exactly, right. And it cuts the feed is going straight to the like not small time, but not the big boss, kind of like criminal Dorian.
Right.
And
he's the up and coming, but he's like he wants to jump rank.
Yeah, yeah, he wants to skip a few steps on that ladder.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and they're like, oh man, they're talking about Cameron Diaz, how she's like, my girl is so beautiful, and she's so good at doing what she needs to do, are talking about this whole situation. And so after that, she was like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna think about it. Thank you, Stanley. And I think at that point, Stanley Ipkiss like just releases into his pants.
Right. Yeah.
As I feel like any, red-blooded American would. At a Cameron Diaz with long hair. Jesus. She killed the short hair, but Cameron Diaz with long hair. Woo.
Agreed.
Oh man, but like after work, Stanley, he's like, okay, well, I'll meet you at the club. I gotta go pick up my car.
Right.
But he takes his car to probably the most dodgy mechanics in Edge City. Even when he's in there, one of the mechanics pops out of the engine of some other dude's car. He's like, "Hey, look at this! Huh? It's not broken, but we're gonna charge him for a new one."
Right? This isn't broken. How much do you think it costs? $700. Okay. Yeah.
And they come to Stanley, and he's like, "Hey, listen, your transmission shot. You need new spark plugs." And Stanley's like, "I just came in here for an oil change." And he's like,
"Oh, you're so lucky we caught this before it really cost you a lot of money. Just go ahead and sign the contract." He's like, "But there's no price on it." And he's like, "But there will be."
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, fuck." He's like, "Well, I need a car for tonight. I'm going to the Coco Bongo." And he's like, "Oh, hey, John, get the loaner." And it is a car from Dick Van Dyke era. Yeah. Or Dick Van, who was that one show, Dick Van Tracy or something like that?
Oh, Dick Tracy?
Dick Tracy. Yeah, it's like a car from that era.
Really, when he first pulls it out, like I didn't think this when I first saw the movie. I was like, oh, what a junker. But I was like, oh, that you probably could fix that car up and sell it for a ton of money now.
I mean, even I think back then they could have fixed that car up and it would have been Grease Lightning.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. But these two guys, these two like jabronis, they look like they barely know how to change oil. Oh man. But yeah, no, so he pulls up to the Coco Bongo. Everyone in the club is like, oh Jesus, what a junker. But he meets his friend Charlie there. He's like, Charlie's already bagged 2 girls. And I'm like, oh man, Charlie actually has some game. He's not like a big talker. He talks and walks.
Right. He's not cool enough to get into the club, but at least he knows whose palms to grease to get him in.
Right. And, you know, he has 2 ladies with them. So they're like, all right, you know, the ratio's on point here. So, you know, he gets the 2 girls in, but like, Jim Carrey or Stanley Ipkiss does the mistake of going behind them.
Right.
And he kind of like looks behind him to gloat a little bit. And he's like, oh, he puts that velvet rope right in front of him. He's like, it's too late. And he's like, Charlie, please. And Charlie's like, he's bewitched by these 2 women that he's been able to trick.
Yeah. Because Charlie's a strong 5, and the girls are, you know, 9s. So he's doing what
9s, right? But you know, Stanley Ipkiss does the one thing, the big taboo of lifting the rope, and in the background say, hey man, you can't do that. And they throw Stanley out of there. And like Jazz from the Fresh Prince, throw him out. And the night's just, it's shit, right? He gets thrown onto the gutter, and as he's like dusting himself off, another car like just splashes him, and he's like, ugh. Yeah. And then to top it all off, Cameron Diaz comes out of a limousine looking just absolutely amazing in this dress that I feel like she could only pull off.
And of course she recognizes him.
Exactly. He's like, oh, Mr. Ipkiss. And he's like, hey, you know, tries to play it off, you know, and it's weird because like, it feels like she's kind of like, at first, like at the bank, it's kind of like, oh, she's there on a job. But I think his like scared puppy, like demeanor is kind of endearing to her.
Right. Yeah.
But unfortunately, he gets cut off when like the valet comes with his junker of a car. And he's like, that's not my car. Where's my Porsche? And she kind of waves it off. She thinks it's kind of adorable. But he ends up having to leave, and she goes into the club. And yeah, Stanley is just not having a great night. And unfortunately, the loner like kind of breaks down at this bridge. And he's just like, this night couldn't be any more shit.
Right.
And he's like kind of leaning over the bridge, and he sees something that looks like sort of a person. And
yeah.
Stanley, even though he's like down on his luck, he goes to save somebody. So just generally a good person.
Right. Right.
And as he goes into this like reservoir, he goes into this lake or river, he is like, it's just junk. But then
right. It's like a plastic bag and some seaweed, but the mask is wrapped in it.
And he looks at this mask. It looks very Celtic.
But
then he looks at the inside of it, and it kind of shimmers. And as he's about to put it on, the police is like, hey, man, what are you doing? He's like, I dropped my mask. So he goes home, and he's just tracking water all over this, like, I don't know what kind of apartment complex this is.
It's almost like a hotel, but I guess
there's an RA though, you know.
I've never lived big city New York kind of thing, but maybe just like high rise kind of apartments where
it has to be somebody that's like renting her, like she has like a home that she's turned into like small apartments. A situation, because she's like, you're tracking water all over my rug, you know, and she's like, you're nothing. It's I was like, that's not something you say to somebody that's renting.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know? But she's like, yeah, get the fuck out of here, you know? And so he gets into his room. This is where we first meet his real best friend, Milo. Very
Yep.
adorable, like little wishbone looking dog.
Exactly. Yep.
And Stanley, he puts on like a videotape of a cartoon that he like pretty much enjoys. Very it's like that character from the rabbit. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. What's that, like old Tex Avery cartoons?
exactly, right? With Roger Rabbit and what's the busty
Oh,
girlfriend of
Jessica.
yeah, yeah. And he's like laughing, it's very childish, but then he's playing it a little bit loud, and so like unfortunately his next door neighbor is the manager, and so he like turns it to another channel, and it's God, what's his name, Ben Steen.
Oh yeah, yeah. Ben Stein.
Yeah, Ben Stein, and he's talking about like masks are all over culture, you know. Everybody puts on masks. It's kind of like he kind of chuckles at it because it feels silly, but then he looks at his mask like, and he does like a little mask. You know, this is what we hide our emotions with. But then like he looks at the mask again, and it sheens over, and he's like, and then he puts it close to his face, and for 1994, kind of holds up.
Right. Yeah.
Really pretty decent CGI, for 94, amazing CGI. For today, a little above sci-fi.
Right. Right.
And oh man, this is where he is like, oh, and, you know, and this is where we finally get the first iteration of the Dark Horse legend. It's Dark Horse, right?
Yep.
The Mask, which I mean, if you guys read the comics, it is nothing like this movie. But he's like, you know, he puts on the persona. He's like, you know, he drops all the iconic like "somebody stop me," smoking, and he's like, oh, I got a party, PART, why not?
Yeah.
But he's like sneaking out of his like little apartment complex, but then like this little alarm clock kind of jumps out of his pocket and he starts wrecking this like
Yeah,
hallway.
right. He pulls out like a sledgehammer, like a big circus mallet to smash the alarm clock.
Yeah, very Looney Tunes, which by the way, like earlier on in the movie, we saw he had a Looney Tunes comic in his bank work desk. So, you know, that's kind of like the inspiration for all this, but just like an adult version of it. And he like totally freaks out the manager. She's like shooting a shotgun in this closed hallway where there's other residents here. And he like dips out of the window, right? And so as he's kind of like walking through, he almost like causes an accident, and then he has like a very Looney Toony alarm or like a honking device that blows this car's like that blows his car up, and then he gets stopped by some thugs, and he eludes them, runs away into a alleyway. And he's like, "Oh, everybody, step up real quick!" And he starts to do like little
like a ring
circus
ringleader. Yeah.
And then I did not notice this as a kid, but he pulls out a condom. He's like, "Oh, that's not one." that was for adults during that time. That was a joke for the adults. And then all of a sudden, he turns one of his balloon animals into a Tommy gun. Which, if you, in the comics, these people are dead. Definitely dead.
Oh, right.
But he's like, oh, before I can really party, I gotta go get some wheels. And so he goes into like this, the scammy mechanic place, and he totally fucks them up.
Right.
And then the next morning he wakes up late for work. He gets stopped by a police officer who is like, he has like such disdain for this person already. He's like, Ipkiss. And he's like, Jesus, those pajamas are a crime. He's like, well, as unbelievable as it is that you didn't hear the commotion last night, here's my card if you remember anything.
Right.
And so Stanley, he like rushes over to the mechanics to pick up his car. And all of a sudden, you see the two guys that work there with, like, what is it called? Like, exhaust out of their asses.
Right. Like the muffler and exhaust, like
Sticky. I was
The
like,
police are like, "We're heading to the jail. Please have a proctologist available."
well, no, I don't know if they were they going to jail or were they
Oh,
just going
I guess to the
to the
hospital.
hospital. These guys assholes will never be the same.
I, yeah,
Right? They're like, hey man, I guess while you're gapped up, let's check your prostate. And yeah, and so Stanley, he gets to work, and his boss kind of reams him, but they're like shitting on his boss. He's like, "Oh, I wish my daddy owned a bank."
yep.
And Stanley's super pissed at Charlie because Charlie's like, "Oh, where were you? Oh, me and the girls were looking for you all night." And he's like, "You forgot me. You're an asshole."
Yeah.
Oh man. And so now like he's like kind of like wondering what all of this is, but he like no oh sorry, before he left his apartment he throws the mask out, but it kind of floats back in,
Yeah.
right? But like no, like it's all over the news, like, yo, there's this guy who like, wrecked, was in a mask, wrecked this mechanic shop. Whoa, that's kind of crazy. And so after that we kind of we
Well,
go sorry, go ahead.
isn't that when like Peggy, the journalist, comes in and she's like, "Oh, hey, I wanted to ask if you knew anything because I saw your name on a list of cars that they got recently worked on at the mechanic shop."
Yeah.
And he certainly plays it dumb, but he's like, "Oh, you're Peggy Brandt from Ask Peggy?" He's like, I sent in a letter like a year ago as the nice guy. And she's like, "Oh my God, the nice guy. You're probably the most endearing letter that we ever got. So many people feel the same way as you do."
Yeah, but she's like, that doesn't pay the bills though.
Yeah, right.
And so, but yeah, and so she's like, well, hey, if you have anything for me, here's like, here's my card. Please contact me. And then we cut to Dorian, who is like, he's like, he's doing all this little crime mob boss. He's setting up this bank heist with the doctor.
The doctor. Yep.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, does the big boss know about this? He's like, fuck that guy. We gotta make our moves.
Right.
And
Right.
so yeah,
He's an old man. He's not going to be around forever. We get a little bit of money and we can kind of we can make this town ours.
yeah, and so and Charlie talks to Stanley. He's like, "Hey, your girl was a big hit last night, and he's like, ugh. Right, and so yeah, and so later that night, they're planning to do the bank heist, but Stanley's like thinking about this girl again. He's thinking about Cameron Diaz, and he's like, oh. And he sees the mask again because
Right.
Milo kind of brings it up, like as a dog kind of would. But he's like, okay, all right, like maybe let's try this mask thing one more time, and maybe we can get there. Right?
Yeah.
So he puts the mask on. He's like, whoa, before I can hit this party, I gotta get some cheddar. And so while Dorian's guys are preparing to do this bank heist, the mask pops out of there, like in that little tornado like power that he has.
Right. Yep.
And he's like, waste not, want not. And then
He grabs the couple little floating dollars.
and then the cops come and like kind of fuck up this whole heist.
Right.
And
right.
so we get a shot. We cut to the Coco Bongo, and Cameron Diaz is doing her little number, very very sensual singing number where she's like flirting with all the patrons, and the mask is doing all those cartoony Tex Avery like woo.
Right, the heart jumping out of its chest, the eyeballs.
Yeah, it's super. It's so good.
And here he's in his very classic yellow suit that like everybody kind of knows him as.
Super iconic, right? And then after she does her number, the mask shows up in the back, and he, I don't know, maybe somehow powers his way into like this big band situation, because like all of a sudden all of their suits are different.
Right,
and they play like a super iconic little I don't know what to call big band music. Very I don't know what to call it. I don't know what
It's a swing. It's like swing
yeah,
dancing.
yeah, swing. And they had this huge swing number. It's a super cool like scene because as he's doing all this dancing with her, and she's like, she's for it. She's like, oh, this guy got some. Yes, it's hot. It's hot that he could dance so well, even though he has a green face. The heist members come back to the club, and the doc dies. He's like, somebody got there before us.
Right. Yeah, because he had gotten shot in the when the police showed up. There was a little shootout.
Yeah.
Mask
And
had
then,
already left, but
yeah. And then one of the henchmen is like, that guy did it. The guy who's dancing with your girl. And so
Yep.
they come, they shoot like a piece of his tie off, and it morphs into Stanley Ipkiss's pajamas.
right.
And yeah, and he totally makes a fool out of all these guys. But he dips out of there. And then the cops come, and he's like, "Oh, what is it now, Lieutenant? You're gonna arrest me for nothing." And so the next morning, Stanley wakes up, super headed. I don't know if he has a headache or whatever. He's just really tired. And the police is knocking on his door again because the lieutenant finds a piece of the cloth that had fell off the mask.
Right. And it's the obnoxious pattern that was on his pajamas.
Which I was like, it's kind of like just normal pajamas. It's like, it's nautical themed. That's it.
Right. Yep.
I was like, what is this guy sleeping? Like a nightgown? Like a sleeping dress? Yeah, jeez.
Why do I picture Ebenezer Scrooge?
Exactly. And he's like, but then like when Stanley opens like his closet door, all this money comes out.
Right. Yeah. It's just packed full of wadded up monies.
Yeah. And so what's it called? He kind of eludes the lieutenant again, but the lieutenant comes in, which is like I think illegal for him to come in and look into his spot.
Right.
But he's like, I'm onto you, Ipkiss. Nobody wears pajamas like that and doesn't do crime. But at this point, like Stanley's looking kind of ragged. He looks tired, and when he gets to work, he totally tells off his boss. He's like, "Fuck you, daddy's boy." Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, you want me to tell your dad that you use this little place as your personal little piggy bank?" And he's like, "That'll be all, Ipkiss."
Or do I call the IRS and have you audited?
Yeah, so he's like, "Oops," and Charlie's like, "Holy shit, that was awesome." So, and meanwhile, Dorian now super upset. Now he's been called in by his boss, and he's like, "Get the fuck out of town in the next week, or else I'm gonna fucking kill you, Dorian." And now Dorian's put out a hit on the mask, $50K for any information or any like way to catch this guy.
Right. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Stanley is like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? And in the chaos that's happening because it's his bank that got hit, Cameron Diaz comes and she's like, I gotta skip out of town, Tiger. I just feel like anyone who's like very like seductive like that calls the guy Tiger. Yeah. Yeah, but she's like, oh, hey, like I'm not gonna open that account, and again, like really good chemistry between the two of them,
Mm-hmm.
and then she kind of dips, but she's like, Stanley's like, hey, I know the mask, I taught him some moves,
Right. I taught him some of his dance moves.
and she's like, well, do you think I can meet him again? Yeah, and so after that, he goes to Ben Stein or Stein.
Stein.
Yeah, it's for some information on the mask, and he's like, Mr. Ipkiss, the mask I'm talking about is like philosophical.
He's metaphorical.
Yeah,
It's
metaphorical.
about the mask that you put on to cloak yourself from society.
Yeah, not like magic masks. And he's like, oh fuck.
Right. He's like, I have the mask.
Yeah.
I warned you. Here it goes, and it doesn't do
work.
anything.
But he's like, oh, this woman that you're talking about. Well, why don't you meet her? Why don't you meet her as yourself? And then this mask character you're talking about.
Yep.
And so she does. Like they meet up at this park, watching the sundown together. And then again, like really good chemistry between Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz, where she's like almost like kind of like, oh, I maybe I don't want to meet the mask, maybe I just want to stay here with you. But Stanley, being like the person who's like gotten rejected a lot in his life, he's like, oh no no, here he comes, and he like goes behind a bush, and then you see all this like lightning come out, and yeah, it's. But this time, the iteration of the mask that she's meeting, it's very Pepe Le Pew.
Yes, yeah, very horn dog. Yeah,
He was like, "Let me show you my croissant that I could put in your vagina." And she's like really not down for it. It's super Pepe Le Pew, and she tries to run away, but he's like, "Oh, mon ami, please, where are you going?" So if someone from France is hearing it, he's like, "Wow, terrible accent." But then all of a sudden, the cops come.
yeah, because the lead cop has been kind of been tracking Ipkiss, because he's like, I know he's got something. I know he was there that night because of the pajamas.
Yeah, and so now like this whole like confrontation is happening between him and the police, but then like a huge dance number comes. It's like it's such a good song too. It's like bim bada bum dun 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 dun. Oh, and then like this lieutenant is super pissed.
Right, because it's like this they shoot him, and then he doesn't really get hurt, but he does this like 4-minute long monologue death.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, that's later.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, no, that was earlier when he had met Dorian for the first time, where he gets shot and he's like, ugh, and he kept coughing in the guy's face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yo, you're right. I was thinking it was the cop, but
no, it's like a huge dance number, but he ends up getting away from the cop. I kind of have to rush because we're kind of cutting to our time. But yeah, no, and so he gets away from the cop, but then he meets up with Peggy.
Oh, right, yeah, because she's kind of like, Ipkiss, get in the car, and she drives him off.
And they kind of have, it feels like it's another moment where it's like, oh, this girl might also work for Stanley too, because she's like really connecting with him. But this is where you have to remember that journalists are like just the media version of lawyers. They're all snakes, right?
and Ipkiss is definitely like crushing on her.
Yeah, crushing her as well, But no, Dorian is there. She's like, oh, thank God. I was like kind of running out. I felt like I was going to almost have to sleep with this guy. And she's like, sorry, Stanley, like being nice and sweet is cool and all. And I really do think you're a great guy, but that's not going to help me keep my condo. But 50K will. And she's like, she does the whole spiel on it too. She's like, oh, it works. Like you got to put on the mask and it gives you all this cool superpower shit. Which I was like, first of all, if I was in her case, I would take the mask. You know what I mean? Like, what's 50K when you can get like a couple mil,
Right.
So Dorian takes it, and then he serves Stanley to the police. And he's like, what? You think God is just going to throw Stanley onto my lap? And then just right on cue, boom, he's there. And so now he's in jail. What's it called? Dorian has now like put on the mask and has killed the big boss. And then
and you definitely realize that the mask takes on, it's like just super amplifies the inner personality of the person. It's like Jim Carrey is like a big cartoon fan, so he becomes very cartoonish.
Yeah, but Dorian is like a freaking Power Rangers villain.
Yeah. He's power hungry,
super
crime lord, and it just
just amplifies that to the max. And so now the next morning, Stanley is in jail, but Cameron Diaz comes.
Yep,
and she's like, Stanley's in his mind, he's like, oh no, you just want the mask, and she's like, no, like you're such a good guy, and I've like my whole life has been just jerks. And it feels like you're the only like good guy I've met in a long time, but I gotta skip town.
Right.
But come find me. type of situation, right? After if you can settle this situation. But she gets caught up by Dorian's guys as she tries to escape. Milo, on the other hand, is there. And it's Jesus God, how did he shouldn't be working in a bank. He should be dog trading. Cuz he gets Milo to get the the keys from the cops. Sorry. Before that, Stanley sees that that Cameron Diaz gets captured by Dorian's guys.
Yeah.
That's where he knows to go after this, because after he gets Milo to get the keys from the cop, he knocks the cop out. Well, I was like, oh man, this guy's like inner personality is finally coming out. He's like very aggressive in the place he needs to be. And so yeah, and Cameron Diaz is going with Dorian, and there's like dynamite in the car. And yeah, he takes over this club. He gets all this money and all this stuff, and he's like, "Oh, the final thing of my plan is to blow up this club," with a lot of important figures in there, because like the mayor's in there. And all that stuff. And the mask burst in. No, Stanley bursts in there, and he's like kind of like trying to James Bond his way in.
Right, and he has brought the cop with him to use kind of as his ruse to get out of jail.
Yeah, but then like and freaking Cameron Diaz is tied up to the little palm tree next to the dynamite there, but she's like, she's seducing Dorian. She's like, oh baby, if you're gonna blow me up, at least give me one final kiss. And he's like, oh,
I used to love you, and I used to love your kisses.
Yeah. But he's like, I don't want to kiss this version of you. I want to kiss the real Dorian.
Yeah.
And she's able to kind of kick the mask out of his hand as they're kissing. And Milo catches it. Because, throughout the whole movie, he's been wanting to play Frisbee.
Right.
And so now they're trying to get the mask from the dog. But the dog puts on the mask. Meanwhile, Dorian and Stanley are fighting, and Stanley almost gets the upper hand, but I was like, oh, I don't think this guy's ever worked out in his life, because he like berserk barrages Dorian's face, and he's still able to fight him back.
Right, and he even says that as he's like on top and he's punching. He's like, oh my God, I'm actually winning.
But he's able to kind of knock him out for a bit, where he's able to get the mask off of Milo and put it onto himself, dismantling the rest of Dorian's men, and then finally getting rid of Dorian as he like Looney Tunes like a little toilet handle and flushes him down the little pool,
and then eats the bomb.
Oh, and then he does eat the bomb. It's like very like Bugs Bunny type of situation. And then he takes off the mask, obviously kisses the girl. And then Charlie comes in because he met Charlie earlier. And he's like, go get the police and everything. So he's like, get those men. And he's like, I've always wanted to say that. With a cigar in his hand, such a boss move. And they're able to escape. Or not escape, but they're able to walk out because the mayor's like, that man saved everybody.
Right, and he's like, no, he's the mask. He's like, no, Dorian was the mask. I was standing right there when I saw him put the mask on.
Exactly. He's like, I want to see you later because you called me Tubby. And as they're kind of like rolling out into the sunrise, Cameron Diaz and Jim Carrey, he's like, are you sure you're not going to miss this guy? And she's like, no, I'm not. And he tosses it in there, and like the bongos start playing from the swing music, and then Charlie goes for the mask. But unfortunately for Charlie, Milo is an excellent swimmer.
Yes. Yep.
And then they kiss, and then the movie ends.
Right.
All right. Before we get into talking about the rest of the movie, let's go into our other section: high star, low star.
10 out of 10. Awesome. This is easily Jim Carrey's greatest picture. Not only that, but in my opinion, this was one of the funniest films of the 90s. This is such a fun movie that you can see it 10 times and it's still just as funny as the first time. The film stars Jim Carrey in another amazing performance and the beautiful Cameron Diaz in her debut. Also, this is kind of the Rocky Horror Picture Show of my generation. I remember Halloween 1995 when my friends and I dressed up as the characters from this movie, and we all did the Cuban beat. An entertaining masterpiece.
And then we have a 1 out of 10. It's just a bit creepy and there's no humor to compensate. I have no idea what age group this is aimed at. It seems too adult for children with the abusive relationship and condom and excessive gun violence, but too childish for most adults. The green head that turns into a wolf for a joke. And it's not funny. I didn't really laugh at all throughout the whole thing, and I didn't really like any of the characters. Stanley is creepy around women, so is his friend. Everyone's a villain. Jim Carrey's acting isn't bad, but the character is not very good. I really don't understand the appeal. I forgot what date that was. But I think, it's funny, like I feel like obviously I feel like maybe some of the humor is a little bit dated because it was the 90s.
Right.
But I mean, originally the Dark Horse comics for The Mask, it's super violent.
Right.
It's like a lot of dirty jokes in there. So this IP wasn't really meant to be a children's movie.
Yeah. And it's interesting. They did tone it down a lot. Yeah. Like in the comic, starts off kind of the same, but then once he gets the mask and he puts it on, then he's like just all the joke, like the Tommy gun and stuff, like you said, like in the comic, he's actually shooting all the thugs. And it's not a let's go after the people. It's like, oh, the police are trying to stop him, so we'll just kill the police. It's a silly, bloody mess.
Yeah. And so like they toned it down because, in 94, I feel like 94, they could have probably just really adapted the comic really well.
I feel like they would try really hard not to give it an R rating. Because like this kind of movie would have they would have had to like go really over the top to get in an R rating to get any kind of traction.
Exactly. Yeah, because especially back then, R rating movies were kind of hard to gauge on the success if it's not like ultra violent, like right. Freaking RoboCop. Yeah, they had a dude's head explode in there. And stuff like that. And like Jim Carrey was kind of known for a lot of his comedic roles, so they kind of wanted it to be like a PG-13 movie,
right?
Which I feel like it's also fine. It has a little bit of something for adults, and has a little, a good amount of things for teenagers. So I feel like if you're asking about the age range for this movie, it's probably going to be like around 13, 14-year-old kids. Into like adults, whatever. It's a movie. It's not really. I don't remember the trailer. The trailer was probably, it made it seem like, oh, this is a movie for kids.
Yeah, slapsticky.
Yeah, it's slapsticky, but I think a lot especially back then in the 90s and the 80s, when they would make things for kids, they would also put like some adult jokes in there for the adults that had to watch it.
Right. Oh yeah.
Which is like, I feel like not okay now.
But, yeah, I would have been like just out of high school, and I remember seeing this
in the theater.
In theater.
Yeah, I did too. I think I did watch this in the theater too. Like 94, I was probably like 6 or 7. But like when you're a kid, you don't know what a condom is.
Right. So that would have been.
Because I think this is like the first time I watched this movie since I was like maybe like 13, 14 years old, and so God, this movie really holds up. I feel like a lot of the comedy is still pretty decent. It's not like overly offensive, but it does. Yeah, it shows. It is like a little bit more of a PG-13 movie. There's an abusive relationship in it. There's like a decent amount of violence. It's not gratuitous. No one's head is exploding.
Right. No actual blood.
Yeah, I mean, like, so, like, what do you remember from this? Like, or like when you first watched it, like, how did you?
I had not read. I was already a comic person, but I had not read the comic. I picked up the comic after the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought it was super entertaining, and I was a big Jim Carrey fan from
In Living Color.
Matt. Oh yeah, in Living Color.
Yeah, and oh man, and so like, and like the character of Stanley Ipkiss, I don't really find him creepy. I just find him not good with women, which I think a lot of men can really relate to.
Right.
You know, because like, did you really find him creepy in any sort of way?
No, and I feel almost like that trope stands up because now that everybody's on the computer all the time, you know, aren't you even like, you know, that younger generation even more awkward with a super attractive person of the opposite sex?
Oh god, you know, even now. You know, and it's funny too because I think you're like, there's like, they're like at extremes now. You know, you're either really shy and awkward, or you're like just super obnoxious. And unfortunately, when you're super obnoxious and all that stuff, you just don't give a fuck.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
And like that's what I've always like. It's funny because like I've always had like a lot of younger coworkers, and like, you know, they always ask me for advice. Like, don't ask me for advice. You know, I'm awkward too. But it's just like, you know what? You know, I hate to say like the worst I can say is no, but it's just like, all right, yeah, it's gonna be shitty when they reject you, but you're probably never gonna see that person again.
Right.
So just let it roll off your back. I think, you know.
Right, especially once you're like out of like high school.
Yeah.
Because high school was that awkward. Like if they say no, I still have to sit next to them in class for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and she's probably gonna tell all her friends how like nerdy, dorky I was.
Yep.
You know, college too is like a little bit more awkward, but still like everyone's kind of like, oh yeah, he was kind of nerdy, and that's pretty much the end of it in college. And so yeah, I don't really find his. I mean, Charlie was kind of like he's just like a sleazeball.
Right. Is it like the two different where like Charlie's the numbers game guy? He's
Yeah.
just like, if I just ask 100 girls out, at least one of them's gonna say yes. So I'll just keep asking until it happens. And then Stanley's more the, I am very introverted and uncomfortable, so I gotta wait till I find the perfect girl to ask out. So it's just, you know.
Yeah, so it hurts more. You know, it's like I used to tell my coworkers, because some of them were like 18 and stuff, and like had never had a girlfriend. I was like, you got to kind of be both.
Right.
You got to be kind of like the numbers guy, but you're also like, you know, care about who you're like looking at, or care about who you're trying to approach, and kind of approach those situations with a little bit of care. You know, unfortunately, and it's funny, as much as like Jesus, how you know, of a bombshell Cameron Diaz is in this movie. Unfortunately, she doesn't really get to kind of exercise her acting muscles as much, because she's almost there just as like, unfortunately, she's almost there just like a prop.
Right, like the little side piece, yeah.
And I think would have, like, you know, like if they were able to, you know, if they were gonna redo this in today's like, you know, atmosphere, or like, you know, today's movie type of situation, it would be really nice to give her a little bit of a backstory to really put some meat on her character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but there's not really a lot that I would like kind of fix with this movie. I think now they might even just go super, like, you know, they stick to the source material.
Right.
But it'd be really hard to find an actor to play Stanley Ipkiss. The only person that I can kind of picture in this role is the guy from Umbrella Academy. I think because I used to watch a lot of like British television, and he was like a super obnoxious asshole like character, like in the show The Misfits.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but the kids that are all like in like juvenile.
Detention.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, he's like calling people like panty sniffers and stuff like that. And like obviously he's been able to show like a good amount of range in his other movies. Like he was in Mortal Instruments and in the TV show Umbrella Academy, where he got to really flesh out a character really well and kind of exercise like the dramatic parts of that. So I feel like
Right.
he might be actually really good in that role just because of like the body type and like sort of like his acting range.
Yeah, I can see that.
Is there anything like is there anything you want to add? Yeah.
Just interesting, like that. There is a sequel without Jim Carrey. It's Jamie Kennedy,
Yeah, Jamie Kennedy.
um,
I
but the dog's in it.
did.
And then they also did a cartoon series off of it.
Oh yeah, which I watched. Yeah, heavily.
Right, which was good, but that one was just obnoxious. It took the violence.
Yeah, and there was
Way down.
There was actually another one, and I don't know if it's like an official movie, but there's Revenge of the Mask 2, which it has like Dean Cain in it,
Okay,
but I think that movie is very source material. It looks pretty like ultra violent. And I don't know if it's an official one or if it's like some sort of like indie or maybe it's like a made for TV movie, so I probably have to check that one out later. Yeah, no, The Son of the Mask was really bad, unfortunately. And I think that's the movie that kind of knocked Jamie Kennedy out of making more movies.
I always wondered about that because he had a little streak where he was
Yeah, he had like a TV show.
he was on fire, yeah,
And
and then he just kind of disappeared.
yeah, The Son of the Mask is that was as excited as it was to watch that movie. I was like, ooh, this was not good. 'Cause, yeah, that like as you said, they really toned down a lot of aspects of the movie, and like not just from like the movie, but like obviously the source material. You can't do that with a kid.
Right, yeah.
But I think it was because during that time it was like a huge resurgence of like, yeah, let's do a sequel of this movie, but have a kid in it.
Yes.
Oh, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, we're coming up, to our hour. So want to go ahead and thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to check all of our other months down below. We have a bunch of themes out there ranging from like live adaptation, anime/video games to in space debris, Lady Fight Club.
We had Obsession Month, which was we had Cable Guy with the another Jim Carrey movie.
But yeah, if this is the first time you guys are joining us, we do reviews in 4 different sections where we have streaming, DVD, Blu-ray, and the Ultimate Box Collection. Kobe, where are you at for this one?
This definitely has super rewatch value to me.
Yeah.
Especially now that I've just rewatched it, and I'm like, how well it stands up the test of time. I would hope Blu-ray gives you some behind the scenes, some extras, and comes with a copy of the comic. I don't know. I'd probably almost go Ultimate Box. You throw those horrible sequels in there. I'll watch them too.
Yeah, no, I think this is like, I think I would go Blu-ray or Ultimate Box Collection for this movie too, because man, I did not remember that this movie was 1 hour and 42 minutes. But God, it's really one of those movies that doesn't feel long. Like it flows so well. There's not really a lot of dead moments or like moments where like you could cut that scene out.
Right. Yeah, the slow spots are so you can catch your breath before it gets big again.
Yeah, because of how ridiculous this character is supposed to be, it has a good amount of downtime where you can really get to know Stanley Ipkiss as a character.
Yeah,
and then it goes back into like the ridiculousness of the mask. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to check our links down below where we have all our social medias.
Yeah, we got our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok,
we got
YouTube, all of them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did I miss any?
Yeah, talk to us on there, guys. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us. My name is Barry.
This is Colby.
And this is Who Watched This. If you guys want to check it out as a theme music, it is Lee Rosevere. It's called Arcade Montage. It's on our album Music Podcast 3, and the Bandcamp is down below.
Thank you.